Hey guys, and welcome back to Daily Courses. And here we are. And finally, we're talking about IDs, classes, and styles. Well, we're not there to start CSS, but we will very barely touch on CSS because we want to explain the concept of ID, classes, and styles. So, without further ado, let's get started. First of all, as usual, let's make a template. Let's say ID, classes, and styles. So, first things before we actually put something here, for now, just understand we put style over here. We put style in head. Now, what does this style do? We're going to talk about it. So, let's start with main title. Let's say, so let's go to the body and let's say H1. Let's put daily courses. So now we have that. Let's open in Light Server and bring that over here. So as you can see, the daily courses is available. And let's go to HTML. We want to put a paragraph P. Now there's something called lorem ipsum. Lorem ipsum is basically generating random words so that you have some filler words for being. So let's say lorem. So it's a shortcut in VS Code. We say lorem and we say 10 and we enter. And then let's go again. T lorem ipsum with 10. But this time, this thing or any particular word, something called span. We're going to talk about span as well. We enclose this word in a span. Okay. And lastly, we put an unordered list. Okay. With lists 1, lists 2, and list 3. So basically, this is a normal format for a HTML page. Now let's add some IDs. So first of all, what's the difference between an ID and a class? Therefore, they both are used to select a particular element or elements so that we can change it in styles in CSS or we can call it somewhere else. The difference between ID and class is, for example, we have, let's say class, we can give it a name. Okay. Now the same thing we can use it in multiple places like name and name. So in styles, let's not just focus on styles right now because eventually in a couple of episodes I'm going to be talking about CSS. But let's say styles and I'm going to say dot name and I have a snippet. This auto completes for me. Now let's see what happens. So it changed both of them because a name can be repeated to multiple different elements. But on the other hand, if we say run, nothing will happen because an ID is something that cannot be repeated, while a class is something that can be repeated. And for IDs, we say hashtag. So now as you can see, it changes. So let's talk about more stuff. Let's give it an ID of name. Give it an ID of, no, let's give this a class of P, meaning paragraph. Give this a class of P as paragraph. Let's give span is basically a P element, but it can be used in different ways, like putting it inside. Let's say we can say here ID of important IMP. Here we can say an ID of name. Okay, so in styles we can say ID dot name. Okay, open parenthesis and we're going to say background color to aqua. Let's just save this. We're going to say dot p. Okay, background color to yellow. It's like highlighted kind of one. Hashtag imp. Okay, you're gonna say whatever it tells me to say. Lastly, we're gonna say hashtag main with this. Okay, now let's see what happens. As you can see, what is actually happening is so it's ID. Sorry. So let's say hashtag. So as you can see, for P, because it can be repeated, we can use it in multiple elements, while IDs are not repeated, so it's for special elements. So basically that is the video without actually indulging more into CSS because we have a couple of more HTML episodes and then eventually we'll continue talking about CSS. So that is it for today's video. Eventually I'm going to talk about inline CSS, which is basically putting a CSS in here. But that's it for today's video and we will be talking about it furthermore. Thank you so much for watching. See you guys in the next one.